going on? We took about like a 1 week hiatus, and I feel like it feels like it's been forever.
It does feel like that, right? It doesn't. It's surprising how quickly it can kind of, like you said, kind of feel like it's been a while. Feel like you kind of get out of a rhythm. Which I'm
Mhm.
hoping the more we do this, the less, like the longer, if need be. Obviously, we don't want to, but the longer we take a break, um, it won't feel like that. I think the more we do this, but yeah, life had been life, and so unfortunately, we
Life.
needed to take a little bit of a break.
Now, Jared, I have been chomping at the bits to hear this story. Uh, are you willing to share with the people?
Yeah, man.
All right,
It's
so
all
hit
settled
it.
and dealt with now. So now I feel
All
like I
right.
can decompress from the situation. It's one of those things where I don't know about you, but when you're in the mix of it, like I think type A as it is, that when I'm in the mix of some type of adversity, I'm like, okay, I just need to figure this stuff out and kind of get all my ducks in a row. And then once it's all said and done, then I feel like I can just kind of breathe, take a step back,
Right.
and then chat about it.
Well,
Yeah.
let's hear, man. Let's hear. Tell the people what you got going on in your life.
So as you guys know, me and my fiance live in Seattle, and one of the things that unfortunately Seattle is known for is our car break-ins, and I was on the other end of that. So early February, February 2nd. Yeah, it was February 2nd. Actually, no. Or no, it was February 2nd. Okay, yeah, February 2nd. I was leaving work, and I leave work. I go out to where my car was parked when I went to work. When I when I walked through the front door, and fortunately, I'd stayed a little bit later this time. I had some extra paperwork to finish up, and was just kind of chatting with a colleague of mine. And fortunately, I did stay, and I had this colleague with me who was able to help me out in the moment. But yeah, I walk out, and about 100 feet max from where I work, I had parked my car, and when I go up there, I'm like, oh, that's weird. My car is not where I pretty sure I left it. Um, maybe, and you try to weigh all options, right? In a matter of seconds, you're just trying to think of everything that could have possibly happened. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I'm forgetting where I parked my car, because every now, there's about a small handful of places I could park, and I kind of just rotate to wherever there's a spot that's open. It's kind of where I work is like suburban city vibe, so it is still street parking. It's not as hectic as an actual like downtown area, but it's still all street parking. So I'm like, okay, well, I also typically park in this other area. Maybe, because I've had done that before where I'm like, oh no, I didn't park over there. I parked over here today. And so I go to where the other areas where I usually park, and I'm hitting my lock button to see my lights flashing, and so to see if I can see my lights flashing or hear beep or something. And I'm not seeing anything over there. My coworker fortunately stayed around to help me out. And I'm like, oh yeah, fortunately I keep a tracker in my car, as everybody should. I have a tracker that I hide in my car. And so I go to the app to see where my car is. And I'm like, okay, it was definitely stolen because it's not here. It's down the road a little bit, right? So my coworker drives me to where my app is showing me that my car is at. We go to that location. It wasn't far, and it's not there either. And I'm like, did they dump the tracker? Did they find it and dump it? Well,
Can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
So this tracker, I mean, unless maybe I'm jumping ahead, but like, do you hide the tracker in your car so it's not easy? Like, did you hide the tracker, or is it like just out in the open, like just sitting in the glove compartment, or the center console?
Yeah, good question. No, I hide it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I make it where like you'd have to go out of your way to find it for sure.
Got it.
Which
But I
means
get it.
you'd be willing to take the time
Yeah.
to find it, which just gives me more time to catch up to you,
Right.
and then
Unless
for the police to catch up to you.
True. I was gonna say unless they're professionals and just, they've probably been around the block a couple times. They are probably wise to know where like people would put, like an air tag or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, potentially. So interestingly enough, my first thought is that they dumped the tracker, right? And so me and my colleague are looking for the tracker. It's nighttime, so I'm using like the flashlight on my phone to look for the tracker and everything, and I can't find it. My colleague can't find it either, and that's when I'm like, okay, since I can't even find the tracker, and my car is not at this first location, let me go on ahead and report this. So while my coworker is dropping me off at home, I'm on the phone with the police so I can report it. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I reported it, because what honestly didn't even come to mind for me, but what the police mentioned over the phone is, it's a good thing you reported this right away, just in case it's used to commit another crime. You have this paper trail of you no longer being in possession of the car when this potential crime would be committed. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's actually a really good point. All I was thinking about was somebody stole my car. I wasn't even thinking about them using it to commit another crime, whatever that crime would be. And so I'm reporting it and everything. And, it's a non-emergency issue. So I look up the non-emergency line. And, the police were very candid, which I appreciate, and helpful. The candidness came from, they pretty much told me when I finally did get a hold of them, because you end up having to wait. It's a non-emergency, and there's a lot of other very important things going on. So eventually you get in the queue or whatever. And funny enough, like one of the things that sticks with me is and I appreciate this. I'm somebody who is very upfront, very candid, and so whenever somebody's just direct with me, I really appreciate it. And they were direct with me, and they were like, "Look, you weren't harmed in the process. You weren't there when it happened, and you didn't see, who did it. And so this is considered a low priority for us." So they were like, you can take the reins and really be proactive about this, and get answers a lot sooner, or you can rely on us to do it for you, but I can't guarantee you it's going to happen very quickly, to get these things done, because we have a lot of other things that we're trying to deal with out in the city of Seattle. And I was like, honestly, I appreciate that. I appreciate you just being upfront with me and not giving me false hope that like, I'm going to have somebody that's on top of this.
Right. They've got a whole like team just trying to find Jared's car.
Exactly. My
We got
old
people
used
working around the
car.
clock.
Exactly. My old used car. So I appreciated that. Now at this time, right? What I didn't know, this was because this had never happened to me before. My car had been broken. My car had been broken into before, but not stolen. And so, and it's a Hyundai. What I didn't know, at the time, was that the tracker that I use, which is good to know, maybe I need to look into updated versions or switching companies, but the tracker that I use at the moment, at least for the car, had a difficult time providing me real time feedback with where the tracker is. Right. So what I'm getting at is that by the time I'm actually on the phone with a police officer who is assisting me in like handling this non-emergency car theft, the tracker had moved. So all this time I just assumed they dumped it. And I'm like, I mean, at that point, once if somebody's able to dump the tracker, then you're like, yeah, now there's really no chance of them finding the car unless they dump the car, and unless they just ditch it once it runs out of gas or something, which I guess is pretty common, in car theft, but at least out
Wait,
here.
wait. So these people are smart enough to figure out how to, hotwire a car, but they can't figure out how to like, I don't know, fill up the gas tank to get a couple extra miles out of it. Like,
Or they
like,
might not have the money.
gas.
They don't have the money.
True. Okay.
I think that's what it is. And you got to remember, most people that are doing this, the 99.9% of people that are doing this is the way it was explained to me, which it was hard for me to believe until I went through this process. But what was explained to me is that 99.9% of these people, their scope of what they need is all about the immediate future. There is not this long, drawn out, premeditated process. These are people that are likely using, and so they're not in the right state of mind. And then on top of that, they're worried about the next thing and the next thing only. They're not thinking 10 steps ahead, because that's just not, they don't have the capacity for that, especially within the state of mind that they're in. Right. So, but I know, I get it. Like, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, surely, yeah, like, this is just theirs for life now, right? Like, this is game over. So long story short, I'm like, oh snap, they didn't find the tracker. So now I'm like, oh, bet, like, it's on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna go hunt these people down. I'm not gonna go Liam Neeson and like hunt these people down. Don't get me wrong.
I thought you were putting on your detective hat, like,
but at least I'm like,
for a badge, getting a gun.
I know, right? Let me go.
Let me borrow a gun.
Some 6 months of in the police academy real quick. Yeah. But I'm like, at least now there's hope, right? I'm like, all right, there's hope. Hope is still alive. We got this. Funny enough, these people. I guess funny. These people, whoever took it, really wanted to get to Southern Washington. Because within that night, within just a few hours, now my tracker was telling me that it was just south of a town called Puyallup, which is, if for those of you listening that understand Seattle or want to look it up real quick, it's about, without traffic, you're about an hour, maybe an hour and change. With traffic, it could be 2.5 hours down south. And so they got down to, once they stopped off at the first point where my tracker was telling me my car was, which was at a gas station, probably to meet up with somebody or maybe grab what I think now I know is Doritos, because there was a bag of Doritos in my car. Cool Ranch, in case you were wondering what flavor. They went down to Puyallup for whatever reason. Unfortunately, so.
By the way, let me just say, I love that this criminal was like, man, all this car theft, like, is worked
hungry,
up an appetite.
Hungry, bro. Hungry. Now, fortunately, right? Or I guess unfortunately, my tracker, again, at this point, I've learned that it's not updating in real time. So one thing I will give a lot of credit to. So I call the police back. I can't remember if I called them back or if I noticed this while I was on the phone with them. I think it's the latter of the two, but long story short, they're like, well, okay, here's what you can do. We're gonna put this in the system. Like, you gave us the license plates information and everything, so we have it in the system that there's a stolen car out there. Anybody in the police force, I think nationwide, they have a system where, if they see a car that's like involved in a crime or abandoned, and they type in that car's information, the make, the model, the license plate, and everything. But I don't even think it has to be license plate, because people can change out the license plate. But I think it's just like the make and model of the car. Then it'll pop up in their system as a stolen vehicle, which is super helpful. So he's like, any chance that it's found, they'll be notified that this is a stolen vehicle. They'll at least notify us, if not notify you directly, that the car has been found. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, that's great. He was like, but what you should do anyway. And again, he was very open and honest. He's like, I'm not going to call a bunch of people for you, but you can do this. He's like, you should call that local county. So I'm going to shout out the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, because I called them. And I let them know, like, hey, this is where my tracker is currently telling me where my car is, which, funny enough, I've been to that exact gas station before. It was a Safeway gas station in Puyallup. And the reason why I know exactly where it is because I've stopped at that gas station before to pick up flowers for a cousin of mine that lives not far from there. So crazy that's, it's kind of ironic that that's where they had stopped off at. And I let them know, like, hey, this is what's telling me where my car is at the moment. It's not updating in real time. I'm not sure if it's still there, but if you guys have anybody that can go take a look and try to find it and recover it, like, that would be huge. Well, they actually did. They sent somebody out to look for my car and go to this exact Safeway gas station, which I was actually super appreciative. I was not expecting it. I was expecting them to not do anything at all. And they called me. They're like, Jared, we're here. I'm sorry, we don't see anything. Maybe they dumped the tracker. And I was like, I hear you. I thought that the first time. But I also know my tracker's not updating in real time, this and that. So they said, well, look, if it updates that it's somewhere else, you can give us a call. I can't guarantee we can go searching for it again tonight. Cause again, the world does not revolve around me. So
Right.
they're not just only, they're like, look, put
Stop
everything aside, stop everything. We're going to find Jared's car.
People are getting murdered. And it's like, no, Jared's car is priority.
Exactly. Right. So I'm like, all right, well, look, I just appreciate you guys even going at all. Thank you, this and that. By the next day, not even the next morning, by the next day, I'm calling. Well, okay, let me back up a little bit. One of the things that the initial police officer to the city of Seattle had told me too, because I was like, well, can you guys go around and ask some of these local businesses to see if they have any cameras or anything like that? And he was like, we can send somebody out there, but it might be a week or two before they get out there. So like, you should probably go ask them yourself. And I was like, yeah, but what if they don't want to give me access to looking at their footage? Like, they're not going to, what if they don't feel comfortable bringing me back to take a look at their security cameras, like the footage and everything? He's like, if that's the case, give them, this phone number, have them call us or call me back and tell me that they have footage, but they only want to show it to a cop. And I might be able to get somebody out there sooner. And, but long story short, none of these businesses, and I'm not going to give away where exactly I work or the businesses here, cause I want to protect them, but none of these businesses have cameras that face the street, unfortunately. I even went as far to I parked outside, there's businesses on one side and then it's residential on the other. And so I even knocked on the person's house right outside of where I parked to see if they had any cameras. And I left a little note for them to give the business I work at a call. And they didn't have a Ring camera or anything either, at least not one that they were. I also think some of these people just don't want to get involved, which I get. But I find it really hard to believe that some of these businesses, but then even my own, the company I work for, they don't have cameras that face outside. The only business that did was a school. A school,
which is
had
probably
cameras,
a good thing.
which is good, right? Exactly. But unfortunately, based on where the school is and where I was parked, and again, I don't, you never know if these people just don't want to get involved, which I get. I don't know if I'd want to get involved either, but I'm telling the guy the situation. He's like, yeah, you can see somebody in the footage, but you can't make out who they are because there's like a bush in the way, like a tree in the way or something. He's like, honestly, it's not usable footage. I'm sorry, this and that. So yeah, so pretty much all that happens, right? So, but long story short, a couple of days later, I'm calling the Seattle Police Department just to get an update. And it dawned on me. I was like, well, what if they could look at, because it's near a stoplight. I'm like, well, what if they could look at the stoplight footage? Well, as I'm calling to ask them to do that, they're like, I'll let them know. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll, take the time to go do that. But then they actually call me back and they're like, oh, actually, it was reported found on the side of the road earlier this morning. And it's been towed to, a towing company. So what was now showing me, and I told him, I was like, well, now it's telling me that it's a little bit down the road from there and this and that. And what it was that it was in a tow yard. So it had finally been just dumped on the side of the road. And apparently this happens a lot, like kind of what I said at the top, where these people use this car for one or two reasons only. And then once it runs out of gas, they dump it and they go get another car. And it's just a revolving cycle. So yeah, so long story short, it was found. Going through the process, the people at the tow yard were actually super helpful. Like everybody was willing to make it like a teachable moment, which was good. Like, and I'm somebody who I really need to understand, like I want to understand the ins and outs of everything. So I ask a lot of questions. And like, I was always that kid in school. Like oh, bet, like we're all done learning. We're going to get out 10 minutes early unless there's any further questions. And then I'm that guy that spends the next 10 minutes
Oh,
asking
jeez.
questions.
I
know.
hope you got bullied for that.
Oh, people hated me for
I
it,
hope you
man.
got
People
bullied for
hated
that.
me. I'm telling you. People, all levels of school, people were like, God damn it, Jared, shut up. Like, but long story short, it was found. Unfortunately, it was considered a total loss. Now it was an old car. It probably had 2 more years on it anyway.
Okay.
So I wasn't like super upset, but I was hoping like, it wouldn't be considered a total loss. Now I got to give whoever this was credit because this was impressive how they got in. They were very precise. Like the last time somebody broke into my car, they just broke the glass and the back window and got in that way. So it was a huge mess. Even after it went through getting things fixed, I was still finding like shards of glass over the next year afterwards. But these people were very precise. So I actually kind of appreciated that. Funny enough, all they did.
Shout out to the car thefts.
Yeah, if you're watching this, if somehow you have time to watch podcasts and you are watching this video, shout out to you because all you did was break just the key part to get into the driver's side door. And then, then once they're in, they break the steering wheel column. They break my car was this old. It was a key ignition. It was not a push to start, but they were able to break that off and hotwire the car. And then they took the back bumper as well and left behind a Doritos bag. But
did they take the bumper as like a memento? Like,
I know, right? That's their
good old
calling.
Remember the times with the Hyundai? Like,
really now they think they took that so that they could sell it and probably get some, get a few bucks or some drugs for it or something.
Scrap it.
Exactly. Yeah.
See some guy carrying a bumper.
But then I was like, why they only take the front? Why didn't they take why they only take the rear bumper? Why didn't they take the front bumper too? Like, I don't understand why they only took the one.
I'm surprised too. Like, I feel like a lot of car thieves, like the catalytic converter is like a big thing people steal because I think it's what is it, like the platinum in it or something? There's like a specific metal.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have anything really worth, it's known in Seattle that people can break in. And so I've gotten very good about just not keeping anything in my car anyway. But I had a couple of things in there and they took nothing. They took nothing. All they did was take the rear bumper. And that was it.
When you first told me this story, and I mean, we can joke about this now, right?
So, yeah, now that it's over with, yeah.
I really wanted you to tell me like, oh, your coworker was helping you, and like you guys just pull like dude, where's your car? Where's my car, dude? The classic Ashton Kutcher, Sean William Scott, yeah.
I wish I had the sense of humor to do something like that in the moment, but I was stressing. It was cold outside, so I'm like shivering, trying to contact the non-emergency line of I'm like cold as shit outside trying to contact the non-emergency line of the police and everything. Yeah.
Well, hey, shout out to your coworker for sticking around. It'd be funny.
Yeah. Not only
hey man, I got dinner plans. Like I
also like driving me to potentially the scene of a crime. Cause like even when we got to where we initially thought my car was because of the tracker, I told her, I was like, you don't get out of the car just in case it's there and there's people around. Like, I don't want you even near this situation. Like the last thing I would want is for her to get hurt or something bad happen while I'm like, I don't know if I would have confronted them. I would have confronted them, but I would have had the cops on the phone. I would have waited until the cops were on the phone and be like, I'm looking at my car and there's people in my car right now. Like, do what you got to do. But like, I'm here. I would not have I'm not the type to just go create a situation. It's not that important, fortunately. So like, I don't think I would have just gone up there and be like, give me my car back, get out of my car. But anyways, I was like, don't get out of the car. She gets out of the car. She's like, I'm going to help you, Jared. I'm going to help you find this thing. I'm thinking to myself,
ride or die, baby.
Oh my goodness. This is going to end bad. But, fortunately it wasn't there either in that sense. So we were both safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's crazy real quick, both scenarios, right? So the first time we were living in Seattle, this happened within 2 weeks of living here, right outside of where we lived at the time. And at that time, it had to have happened not far before I got to my car because I usually get up pretty early to go work out. This time, It happened literally 30 minutes before I left, and only because I stayed late to finish up some paperwork. If I had left right at the time I could have, there's a chance this is probably a blessing. There's a chance I would have been there while somebody was actively trying to break in, or I would have got to it right before they tried to break in, and they probably would have walked away and tried another car. So just ironic in that sense that it's literally like 30 minutes before I leave the office, it happens, you know?
Well,
But
hey,
that's
I
the
guess you
story,
get it.
guys. That's what happened to Jared's car. And
I love it.
to make things more interesting, 3 days after that happens, our landlords tell us that they want to sell and we have to find a new place to live. So I've been dealing with car stuff the past few weeks and trying to find a new place to live all at the same time, because let's just make it more interesting.
Hey, now that you got a new car, you just live in your car. 2 birds, 1 stone,
So we're going to try to go down to 1 car, man. We're going to try going down to 1 car, save some money. And yeah, just we're at a time right now where saving and trying to put our money elsewhere into other things other than a car is of high importance. So we're gonna see how it goes, and then if she gets sick of me having to always use her car when she wants to use it, then I'll get another used car. I did go shopping for a used car just to see what the market was like. I wasn't, that's the other thing. So this is, and I know this isn't a revelation to people, but I'm glad I did. Once I got my settlement money from them considering it a total loss, I was like, look, I'm not in a rush to get a new car, or a new used car. So this is probably the best time to go looking, because I don't feel pressured, right? To I have to leave with a car today, So, which good business model for them. I had no idea that Enterprise sells used cars. But that's who my insurance went through for me to rent a car in the process of them, figuring out if they're going to deem it a total loss or not. And so, of course, and I get a call from an Enterprise sales rep. He was like, hey, we sell used cars, come check us out just to see if there's anything. And I did. And I'm glad I did, just to kind of see what the market is like, to kind of get a sense of where used cars are at today. They're actually not as bad as I thought they were going to be. I feel like they've gone down in value.
Normalized a little bit.
Yeah. I remember when my fiance got the car she uses now, and we were shopping around and stuff. Cars now, for a similar model car, similar features, is probably depending on where you go, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 cheaper now than what it was just a couple of years ago, which is awesome. So, yeah, it was actually it was a pleasant surprise to know, okay, if we're fortunately, if we need to, we can figure that out maybe, but yeah, we're going to try the 1 car game, man. I know a lot of people do it already, so it's not anything new. It's nothing special, but just a way to save some money. What's going to happen
if that car gets stolen?
And then let's not speak that into existence, Josh. Please,
you'll have to get one of those tandem bicycles. You and her can just.
That's right. We're gonna invest in a tandem e-bike, and we're gonna figure it out.
I've heard stories of places where car theft is really high, and it happens. I want to say it's San Francisco. It happens pretty frequently too, where people just or maybe not even car theft, but they'll just break into cars and just try and steal whatever they can get. And people got to the point where they would just leave their cars unlocked, nothing in it, just leave it unlocked. And people would put notes on the windshield and say my car is unlocked. I have nothing in here. Please do not break please do not break my glass.
I had a patient who told me that. She was like, yeah, I purposefully leave my car unlocked so that, because at that point, if they want to, they're going to break in anyway. So it's I'd rather them exactly that, break in and not break the car itself versus now they did also end up just stealing her car. So that did not turn out great for her. But
backfired big time.
Yeah, but hey, that's an option.
Might as well just left the key in the car at that point.
Just leave the car running, and just let them take the car.
But put a 20 in the center console so they could buy Doritos, Cool Ranch maybe.
Oh man. Yeah, crazy scenario. I'm very blessed that I can laugh about it now and just it is what it is. Again, something I had put on social media was not meant for this to get sentimental at all, but it was one of those, like, having a car issue to complain about is a blessing within itself. Like, one thing, like, I kept telling my fiance, because she was like, I feel like you're handling this really well. Like, you're not getting upset too much or anything. Like, you're not spazzing out. Like, you're just taking it as is. And I'm like, well, one, we're very blessed that you also have a car that I can use. But also, there's a lot of people that can't even afford a car, right? And so, like, being fortunate enough to have a car that I've had for a long time. My parents, shout out to my parents, they got me the car when I was in grad school, because the other car that they was a hand-me-down gave up on me in grad school. And so very blessed for that. Blessed, to even have a car situation to want to complain about, because a lot of people don't even have that opportunity. So it's like, honestly, life could be worse. Like, life could be worse. So it all worked out, man.
That's a good takeaway. That's a good takeaway.
Well, and that's what got me through it.
Well, I was going to say, and glass half full. Now all the businesses that don't have cameras. So I do have a couple ideas that we can talk about offline.
Nah, man, I can't. Hey, these businesses, even though they don't have cameras that face outside. They said they all have cameras that face inside. They just said they don't have any cameras that face outside. It's what they told me. But nah, man,
we can talk. We can talk about this. We can talk about this offline.
Oh my goodness,
I'm curious. I've got a couple business ideas.
Oh my goodness. Well, one of them, man. No, we're not even gonna get into that. No, it was a crazy experience. But yeah, that's honestly, I know it sounds corny when you say it out loud, but that was what got me through it. Was like I was literally having to constantly remind myself. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, anytime where, like, I could feel my blood pressure rising. Like, you get off of like a 10-hour shift and it's like, I gotta call the cops back again to get an update, which I know is going to be about an hour on hold, just waiting for somebody to answer, because it's a queue at that point, and there's other people that got other shit going on that they're calling for. I was literally having to out loud remind myself, like, Jared, it could be worse. Like, this could be a lot worse. Like, it's okay. It could, you're fortunate to even be in a position where this isn't something to be like annoyed about, and this and that. Like, for people that are listening, I'm not naturally just like nothing phases me type of guy. Just as I get older and older, I'm trying to actively practice gratitude, where even in moments of adversity like this, I'm having to tell myself out loud, like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. This isn't that big of a deal. Like, things could be a lot worse. So yeah, we got through it, man. And now we can laugh about it. And I will say something. I would love to have a police officer on here and get their advice on something. I asked the police this and didn't really get a clear answer. So I don't really know what to do or what I'm going to do going forward yet. But because I was like, look, Seattle is known for this. Like, a lot of cities now, like, as life gets more expensive, I expect these things to happen more and more often. I want to get somebody's advice. What about just having my registration, like a picture of my registration on my phone? That should be good enough. Because, like, I don't want to leave anything in my car that has my address on it.
Like, identifiable.
That's what I kept telling the police. I was like, the car at the end of the day, it's a material thing, and I can figure that out. Fortunately, I can figure that out. But I don't want this to turn into a home invasion. Like, I don't want somebody to be able to go rifling through something in my car that has my address attached to it. And the next thing I know, I'm worrying about the safety of not just myself, but my fiance. And if we have guests over or whatever, right? Whatever it may be. Now, they told me it's very rare, but it does happen. They said it's very rare. Most times these people are just trying to get from A to B. They're not even thinking about that, especially since nothing was taken to begin with. I doubt they're going to try to come to your car or come to your place and everything. And they're right. Nothing was taken. Which was good. But I want to start just leaving my register, like always having it on me, maybe, or just having it on my phone and not having it just accessible in the car. And I want to know if that's something that's passable. Should I ever get pulled over?
Right. See, I think for me, I totally hear what you're saying. Like, avoiding like people just getting a hold of your information, but I'm also a believer, like, if someone wants to do something, they'll do it. If they're deliberate enough, they'll,
But if they don't know where you live, how are they gonna?
What I'm saying is they could get your license plate. They could figure out who the car's registered through your license plate. Could they not? And
how do they do that?
Was that?
How do you do that?
I don't know. I mean,
That
I don't know.
can't be public record. There's no way that's public record.
You could probably just find like someone's name, like, hey, okay. Again, I don't know. I'm assuming that if people are, again, if they're intelligent enough that they could probably find out your information. Is what
Yeah,
I'm
but we're not talking about the CIA here. We're talking about somebody who's drugged up on something trying to get to Puyallup, Washington.
Okay. All right.
But that was something else the police officer that gave it gives you a little bit of reassurance, but still like you're nervous going to bed at night for a few nights and stuff. He was like, the fact also that they didn't stick around town, they immediately went to Southern Washington, far away from where I live. They're like, I doubt it. And so but yeah, just those are the things that enter your mind when stuff like this happens. Like, I'm just trying to make sure, my people are good too, just safe, but yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy experience, man. And then trying to deal with that while actively dealing with looking for a new place to live. And then, I have more responsibility at work now. So trying to deal with some of that stuff is it was a whirlwind of a couple of weeks. That's for sure.
Well, here you are on the other side.
Yeah,
man. Well, you've got your health. You might not have a car, but
yeah, no car at the moment. But what you gonna do, man? What you gonna do? Save some money on car insurance,
gas, maintenance. So,
Yeah.
So, well, hey, man, appreciate you sharing. Again, I know you said you want a cop. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I want to get a car thief on here that actually is like. I want someone to explain. I don't know. Maybe like. What is it, like School of Hard Knocks? I want to learn the tricks of the trade a little bit.
Okay.
Why they do what they do and what their purpose.
Maybe we can get like a phone call. Maybe they'll phone in or something. They might not want to.
Yeah, we can
their identity, but I know what you're about to do. I know exactly.
You do know. I can't even find it. Anyway.
You can't find it, can you?
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah,
you trying to hit that voice guy. We'll put him online and we'll do the voice change.
Oh man. But hey man, I know this was gonna be a short-lived one because I'm gonna try to surprise the missus, but appreciate you letting me share that story. Maybe some people out there can relate, If you guys can relate, if you guys have had experiences of your own, let us know in the comments.
If you got a used car for sale, Jared's in the market.
I didn't get much for my own, so my budget's a little tight right now. I'm just letting y'all know. But if you got something out there for me, let me know. I'm going to need to see the inspection, but let me know.
Preferably a car that's not stolen either.
Yeah. Not stolen, and I think I'm going to stay away, not trying to give any certain car brands, have them catch any strays right now, but I might need to stay away from Hyundai for a little bit since this is the second time this happened with my Hyundai. So, yeah, there's that. Scarred. All
right. Well, hey, man, till next time.
Till next time, thank you all for listening. Again, let us know in the comments if you guys can relate to this, because I know I'm not the only one out there that's had their car either broken into or stolen. We want to hear your stories too. We might even want to get you guys on here so you can share your stories with us and with the world. But yeah, brother, till next time, man. Peace.
Y'all come back now, you hear?